When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can be confusing. Like Swedish techno confusing.
Bark, bark, meow, meow. Dance with me, purple cow. Bark, bark, meow, meow. Ooh, you lovely cow.
Geico makes it easy. With 24/7 access, all you have to do is go to Geico.com and you could save money on car insurance. It just makes sense. Unlike,
Dance with me, purple cow. I like your moves.
Welcome to LSD Radio. What you are about to hear is intended for listeners 18 years of age or older and is for entertainment purposes only. Bad Habits Network must insist that no one attempt to recreate or reenact any activity described on this show. This podcast may contain lewd, crude, vulgar, sexist, racist, fascist, argumentative, disgusting, appalling, explicit, edgy, and downright offensive language and or subject matter. For individuals easily offended, this may not be the program for you. We recommend turning this off now. Are they gone?
Yep, looks like it.
Good. Fuck those guys. Let's do this. Alright, tonight on LSD Radio, our topic is rainbow play.
What's rainbow play?
Is it like Rainbow Bright?
Yeah.
Does this involve fucking like rainbow ponies in the butt?
No, that is part of our bestiality show from last week.
Ah. So what is rainbow play?
Rainbow play, to the best of my knowledge, is fucking with vomit involved.
Does it have to involve fucking? Can it involve blowjobs or
Sex
just the act
acts.
itself? Sex
acts
acts
involving
involving
vomiting.
vomit. Interesting. So, what sort of sex acts could involve vomit play?
Well, from personal experience, I know that deep throat fucking can often ensue into vomit. Whether rainbow play has been intentional on my part, no, but I'm not opposed to pretty girls puking on my dick. So, incidental rainbow play, I'm cool with.
Well, how many times has that happened?
Do I actually have to count?
Roughly.
Yeah.
Dozens, 2-3 times, hundreds, every time? What's your personal preference?
Well, if you count all the times that they swallowed it before letting it out, probably in a couple dozen times. The times where it's actually projected out of their mouth and gone just about everywhere, a handful.
Now, when the person that you're throat fucking, or whatever act you're doing causes them to vomit, are you done? Is that like the coup de grace for your sex play? Do you like to get in there and continue to fuck with the vomit, using it as a lubricant? What's your usual interaction with the vomitus?
I usually like to finish, no matter what. So if that involves fucking the vomit, fine. There have been a couple of times where it stopped due to how big of a mess we've created under the circumstances. I mean, if you vomit all over the carpet, you really want to get to cleaning that up as soon as possible so it doesn't stain.
Depends on if you have a house slave or not. Would you consider yourself a metaphiliac?
Well, I'm not exactly turned on by vomit, but there are certain sex acts involving vomit that do turn me on. Like, I really want to be fucking somebody from behind while they're vomiting, just because their entire body clenches up and things like that, as well as I really kind of... I've never succeeded in making them vomit to the point that it comes out their nose while throat fucking them.
Nice.
I want to make that happen.
It's almost a vomit angry dragon. So, let's
Yes.
take a step back for the layperson at home who's playing the home game of LSD Radio. I'm sure you're asking yourselves, what is a metaphiliac? In a metaphiliac, or someone who engages in the condition or has the condition of a metaphilia, is effectively an individual who is sexually aroused by vomiting or observing others vomit. Also referred to as someone who happens to have a vomit fetish.
Oh,
So,
my.
oh, wonderful. So if the mere thought of somebody puking makes your bits get wet and tingly, you too may be in a metaphiliac.
And an interesting note from the emetophiliacs is that a number of them actually began with emetophobia, the irrational fear of vomiting, which led to more or less an obsessive condition where they eventually became emetophiliacs.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Many things, many fetishes that I think we encounter, especially those that are sort of the atypical or outside of the kink holy trinity area of, rope and bondage and whatnot. I think, at least in my experience with a lot of people I've interacted with, a lot of kinks start out with someone potentially being very afraid of them and overcoming that fear, and then engaging in that act as whether it's just an interest or it develops into an actual fetish. I have found that to be the case amongst a lot of the more extreme areas of kink. Thoughts?
Yes, I was very afraid of having my penis choke a girl to the point that she turns blue in the face, but now I find it very arousing. You're right. A lot of things do extend from a fear.
Yep.
Well, but as far as the involuntary personal protein spills that have occurred in your particular neck of the woods there, Mr. Raven, I mean, like, again, is it really the involuntary personal protein spill itself that turns you on, or just the spasms, reactions that you enjoy?
Mostly it's the physical distress that the person is going through, that the act of vomiting causes.
So if there was a pile or a bucket of vomit sitting here on the floor and I told you to fuck it, could you?
What's in said vomit?
I don't know, cornflakes, maybe a little bit of, curdled milk.
The curdled milk does it.
That does it for you?
No. I can't. Not the curdled milk.
Okay.
I mean,
what if it was like Kool-Aid and cream corn and...
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
As long as it was still warm and fresh.
Is it a texture thing for you?
Yeah,
or a smell?
It's got to be a texture thing.
Yeah. So does the smell of vomit turn you off?
Well, no. It's not a turn-off. I mean, if it's the dry heaving just stomach acid that's kind of bile-scented, that's not all that appealing. But more often than not, if I intend to make them vomit, I usually feed them something that is going to smell and or taste good the second time around.
Pre-planning. So
yes.
If you're going to engage in a metaphilia, or if you're going to engage in vomit play or whatnot, do you tend to, assuming that you know this is going to occur ahead of time, do you tend to feed someone stuff that you would enjoy see coming out of them?
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Ice cream. Usually if you can force feed them a whole bunch of ice cream really fast, it doesn't always have an adverse reaction in their stomach for when it comes back up. It can sometimes be cold, but it doesn't curdle as fast.
No.
Because it's colder going in. It's not like drinking a glass of milk, waiting 2 hours, and then having cheese come out.
You should do the gallon milk challenge on someone and then fuck them in the mouth and see what happens.
Oh, the gallon milk challenge is already going to induce the vomiting.
I know.
I guess that is justified.
No, I'm not.
As Pet is over here rubbing her bits while we're talking about puke.
I'm not. I'm scratching my bits.
Same difference.
Well, now, when you do the gallon milk challenge, do you also add in some colorful breakfast cereals to get a Cosby sweater going?
Ooh, Cosby sweater.
Well, that is definitely an option. I mean, if you want true to form rainbow play, where it is actually them vomiting a rainbow, then, they have Fruity Pebbles.
Yep. Well, by its very definition, if you're going to engage in the specific vomit play act of a Cosby sweater, yes. You'd have to consume a bunch of really colorful, typically cereal is, I think, the go-to for most people, although I'm sure you could do, like,
gummy
a lot
worms.
of colorful gummy worms or other colorful type edibles. Pop Rocks would always be fun. And then you make someone vomit, typically on the chest of the other individual, whether or not they're wearing clothes, or whether or not they've just got a really thick rug of chest hair that they can vomit onto. The net effect, nonetheless, is that they... after they've been vomited on, it looks like the infamous Dr. Cosby sweater that he used to wear on his horrible shows.
And you luckily found a secondary
alternate definition.
The alternate definition of the Cosby sweater, which oddly enough doesn't have anything to do with vomit, but apparently the lesser-known version of the Cosby sweater is a sex act during which the man eats a Jell-O pudding cup, yelling, "Zippity-zoppity, here comes my floppity," as he ejaculates. And for the family planners out there, for those who like to save their ejaculates, you can then turn it up a notch by, spunking into the empty pudding cup.
Now, is that a forced sex act, or is that just merely the eating of a Jell-O pudding cup?
See, I'm not sure. Who's supposed to eat the pudding cup? Maybe the person who, you're forcing it on them, and then afterwards, then they vomit after eating your spunk out of a cup and give you the Cosby sweater back?
Oh,
I mean, it would come full circle then.
A double Cosby sweater.
Double Cosby sweater.
Well, and does the Cosby sweater count if you make someone do it to themselves?
Oh gosh.
Sure.
Like,
I don't see why not.
Just as they're about to throw up, you kind of grab their hair and point their head down, and they
Totally.
just...
I mean, most people when they're puking, they're fairly they have a lot of oomph behind it, so you get your typical projectile vomit. But if they're a dribbler, or if you just clamp your hand over their mouth and give them a nice little deflection blast shield down in front of their face, they're likely to puke all over the front of their chest anyway. So yeah, you could totally
It's
do
time for Ricochet.
self-induced Cosby sweater.
And depending on whether your dick is down their throat or not, it really sometimes has nowhere to go than down
Out
their
the
chest.
nose?
I haven't succeeded in that one yet.
Out the nose,
it always
down
comes
the chest.
around.
Yeah. Well.
What?
It came out your nose?
It's come out my nose.
Oh.
I didn't see it come out your nose.
Thank goodness.
Well, that's because you were too busy focusing on finishing.
Trying to. Again, with the, if you do it on carpet, you both kind of stop and you want to clean up the spill because you don't want to have...
And it was red, and it stained the carpet.
Oh, nice.
And
Once again, our general recommendation is if you're going to engage in rainbow play of some sort, whether it's the more advanced Cosby sweater, or if it's just simple throat fucking where your lover's going to vomit all over your member, we highly recommend either doing it on linoleum or tile or whatnot, or
Kiddie pool.
kiddie pools are always good. Doing it outdoors is always good, as long as you're not going to disturb the shit out of your neighbors. Who am I kidding? Do it if you're going to disturb the shit out of your neighbors. Or Dexter room the shit out of your living room so that you've got some plastic sheeting down so the vomit doesn't actually stain something.
That's a fun mess to clean up.
Oh,
Tarps
yes, it
are
is.
your friend.
Tarps are your friend. And you can get some fun, strange looks when you're buying big boxes of tarps every week at your local hardware store.
It's a tarp!
To add extra color, make sure to buy some zip ties along with it. Woohoo! So, yeah. So I have a curiosity question. Why is there a green caterpillar on your calendar on June 19th?
Well, June 19th is the premiere of Human Centipede 3, the final sequence.
Oh, I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, I am too. I am too.
I mean, as the German, the amount of potential for Scheisse play in the Human Centipede kind of gets my bits a little wet.
Well, and then you got, the
Oh,
reflex
you should
rainbow
go see
play
a doctor for
involved.
that. Your bits shouldn't get
My
wet.
balls are super drippy.
Yep. No, you got that reflex rainbow play where, what happens if the situation causes you to, have a little involuntary personal protein
Oh, my
spill
God.
forward, which you know is just going to turn around and come back to you.
Oh, no. Which is worse, having to swallow a big chunk of your own vomit, or having to vomit up someone's asshole, and then you get the turnaround where your vomit now is potentially, intermixed with the person in front of you's poo.
Probably the intermix.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Half of one, pile of shit in the other. I mean, really, does it matter?
Uh-huh.
It's sort of like trying to decide what's the most disgusting part of Two Girls, One Cup.
Oh, yeah.
Does it really matter?
No, I love Two Girls, One Cup.
Oh, of course you do. You're
Super
German.
delicious.
Fucking Germans.
Oh, yeah.
Seems to be everything on the internet that's... well, how did we phrase it before? Number noun. Just turns out bad.
No, well,
Two girls,
bad
one cup.
bad for some people, good for others.
That one guy, one jar, I feel bad for
Oh,
him.
my God, yeah.
Internal lacerations.
Yep. Acerations. See, now what we got to do is go for the real, true coup de grace, internet style. And we need to get the Two Girls, One Cup and the One Guy, One Jar together so that he can, lacerate the shit out of his bunghole, and then they can vomit into it, and then they can make a big old sundae.
Oh, wow. That's a strawberry-covered chocolate sundae.
Delicious.
And if anyone's wondering, yes, we have invented a new term. And now you know.
Sundae.
And knowing is half the battle. Gee, I'm a hoe.
Yep. I don't know. It'd be better if instead of an actual mason jar, you could use some rock candy. Some of that candy glass stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then you could have an actual, truly edible cherry chocolate covered sundae.
Ooh.
Well, you just use a waffle cone. I mean, if you're really going that far.
Not sure the waffle cone can sustain the sphincter pressure inside someone's butt.
Well, no, you can just use it like, soft serve dispenser.
Oh.
You don't actually have to put it up the butt, just sort of...
Ah, yeah, that
Yeah.
works. Now,
As a holding container.
when it comes to rainbow play, I have a couple of things. Does it still count as rainbow play in the event that you put a nasogastric tube into someone, pump their stomach and then use their stomach contents. It wasn't technically vomit, but it is still their stomach contents.
I think that the main point is it's stomach contents, right? There was something in someone's stomach, and I think it's generally the fact that you are intermixing stomach acids and stuff that has been in someone's stomach, and obviously forcing that out of their body, whether through natural methods or through forced methods. I think any of those could be considered or construed as rainbow play. If you enjoy playing with vomit, in whatever form it may take, yeah, you may be a rainbow player.
But for a number of them, it's not actually the playing with the vomit. It's the vomit itself. It's either the act, the sequence of spasm, ejaculation, relief, or the sensory arousal of seeing, smelling, or hearing others vomit. And for some of them, it's more a matter of a dom-sub aspect, either wanting to be vomited on if you're a sub for humiliation, or wanting to vomit on a sub as a dom, also for humiliation.
Yeah, most definitely. Some of the people I've run upon that...
Some
of the people I've run over.
I've run upon these folks.
Some of the people that I've come upon. Wait, that's not any better. Phrasing. A couple of the people that I've talked with this about who are avid rainbow players, it's interesting to find the variety and depth in which they actually like to engage in rainbow play. For some people, it is very much, I like vomit. I like the smell of it. I like the texture of it. The body fluid is a turn-on. There are others that are like, such as yourself, Raven, who are like, vomit just happens to be the side effect of it. I love choke fucking. I love the spasm aspect of it. I like making someone gag, and the vomit is just the realization of the sex act, right? I've also encountered some people who are like, I absolutely love vomit. I like the smell of it. I like playing in it. I like having it all over me. But I don't want to be around when the person's actually puking, because that sound of someone gagging and actually vomiting is a huge turnoff. It's something that does not work for me. And conversely, there are some people who really enjoy struggle throat fucking. But up until the point when somebody actually does vomit on them, and they're like, "Nope, game over. You puked. Nope, no, thank you." It's kind of interesting seeing the different levels of involvement. And of course, there's some people who just love everything and anything to do with the act leading up to the prep and the actual vomiting itself.
Now, do you think a lot of the individuals who are into Roman showers, i.e. vomiting on your partner and being vomited on by your partner, are sympathetic pukers, so then when one of them starts, the other one has no option other than to continue?
I think that definitely exists. There are definitely people who, once they see others vomiting around them, it turns into a huge, puke festival. There are other people who I think have, a total resistance to spontaneous induced vomiting purely by being in the presence of other people doing it. It's kind of like people who really enjoy blood play, but if it's their own blood, they pass out. I think in many cases, vomit, especially considering the phobias surrounding it and some of the public stigma about vomit, I think there's a wide swath of people that are either affected by other people doing it or not.
Now, taking a step back in history, the Romans were huge hedonists and would drink themselves stupid and then go somewhere and vomit so they can continue drinking.
Yep.
Well, it was also for the sake of their meals, which could contain 12 or 13 courses, and the only way you could properly enjoy a full Roman meal was if you went to the vomitorium or the room of vomiting, threw up so that you made more room so that you could enjoy the rest of the feast.
Right. But being hedonists and enjoying the gorging themselves on 13-course meals and drinking themselves silly, do you believe that the act of vomiting eventually became somewhat sensual in and of itself, being such commonplace?
Well, and on top of that, according to WebMD, the act of vomiting itself is also an endorphin-releasing activity. It dumps endorphins into the body.
Is that why it feels so good to puke when you're just shit-faced hammered? That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so, and I remembered, I had to validate this, but the whole concept around vomitorium as a term is kind of an urban myth in and of itself. So in Roman culture and Greek culture, for that matter, a vomitorium was something that existed, but it was not a place used for people to go and expunge and relieve themselves. No such place existed. In many cases, The act of vomiting, it was either done within the bathrooms or out behind the banquet hall in the bushes. There wasn't any specific place, at least not that archaeologists have ever found, that could be specifically construed as a place for vomiting. Vomitoriums, on the other hand, if I remember correctly, had something to do with part of the amphitheater. It's one of the corridors that exists within there. So there's a little bit of a misnomer in terms of what a vomitorium is, but it was very commonplace amongst Roman and Greek society, and a lot of societies way back then that ate or drank to excess to expunge or to purge themselves. In many cases, not only was it so that they could keep eating, it's because they recognized the fact that the caloric intake, or the amount of fat and other potentially harmful substances you're taking into your body during effectively a gluttonous orgy or during a big feeding festival, was actually long-term detrimental to their health. So, yes, the food is great. We enjoy, consuming it. However, if we continue eating like this, and continue eating like the nasty pigs that we are, and we don't puke it out, we're probably going to have a serious issue, whether that's the gout or something more serious.
But on the flip side of that, doesn't vomiting in excessive amounts actually have health risks in and of itself?
Well, I don't know. What's the Dr. Jew say?
Dr. Jew
what are the health risks to...
says that, any kind of repeated vomiting comes with a massive amount of health risks.
Now, when you say repeated vomiting, are we talking about something that's fairly consistent, as in once a week, or more so?
Yeah, if you have a serious problem or serious fetish to the point where, a couple times a week you're throwing up, because sometimes it is just a medical issue, sometimes it's a psychological issue. And honestly, a lot of the same problems can be caused by acid reflux. Dangerous to the teeth, digestive organs, nutrient deprivation. You're looking at dehydration, electrolyte imbalances, which can cause heart problems, damage to the esophagus, inflammation of the gums, erosion of the tooth enamel, broken capillaries in the eyes and facial skin. The two main...
if you had a really good session.
I was going to say, I really like seeing the broken capillaries in their eyes. When their eyes are so bloodshot from choking on dick, I did good.
Yeah, the two main syndromes that occur, the more common one is called Barrett's esophagus, which is when repeated vomiting causes the lining of the esophagus to physically change to match the lining of the stomach. It's normally more prominent in men, and it can actually be caused by acid reflux as well. These effects are irreversible and can increase the risk of esophageal cancer. The problem with it, though, is that it has no real symptoms. It basically feels like heartburn. You wouldn't really know you had it. The other and very serious one is, I might be mispronouncing this, Boerhaave syndrome, which is a rupture of the esophagus, and without emergency medical and surgical treatment, it's fatal. And that's according to the U.S. National Library of Medicine. But that is spontaneous. It is less common, but it can occur.
Especially if Raven keeps fucking you in the face. So the second one is obviously induced by acts that would cause a rupture of the esophagus, right? It's not genetic. What about the first one? Is the first one genetic, or is it potentially induced by, weeks and weeks of Raven-style face fucking? No,
it's not genetic at all. It's just... what it is the lining of the esophagus is not designed to handle stomach acid. Mm-hmm. And over time, and being continually exposed to stomach acid, the lining itself will change and try to adapt to it, but it will basically become more stomach lining.
Nice.
As opposed to the proper lining of the esophagus. And that can cause all sorts of other fun shit to happen. There are some other things that really are not very likely, but people do have irrational fears of them. Like, for instance, HIV or AIDS being transmitted through vomit. Unless there's blood present, there's almost no chance of
Someone has bleeding ulcers.
And bleeding ulcers are another fun complication thereof. Bleeding ulcers can also occur from repeated sessions of vomiting. So, unfortunately, there is a lot of risk involved, and a lot of it is irreversible and potentially very serious. I mean, this is one of the more risky forms of fun to be had.
Mm. So, as a general piece of advice, would we say to those that are going to engage in regular bouts of vomit play and or Roman showers, that it might behoove them to talk, hopefully, with their kink-aware doctor, if they have one, about monitoring the potential health risks for excessive vomit play?
Yeah, the problem with even a kink-aware doctor is that...
they're going to tell you just don't do it?
Yeah, basically, because, there's this, kink-aware doctors do exist, and usually they don't care. That's kind of their whole point. Unless you're doing something that has potentially lethal or serious consequences to it. I mean, they're not going to care about a little bruising here or a cut here and there.
Sure.
If it's induced by play, reasonable, rational, safety-conscious play. But with things like vomit play, it leans a little close to mental disorders like bulimia.
Sure, almost definitely.
Well, we are trying to talk about doing this safely.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's one of those things where it's like, recreational surgery. There's no real 100%
That sounds like a
safe
fun
way.
weekend to me.
I know it does, but that's the thing. And there are people who do this, and there are people who, understand and accept the potential consequences. But, yeah, there's a lot of damage that can be caused by this, and most doctors, even kink-aware doctors, would probably consider anyone who is doing enough rainbow play to feel the need to bring it up to a medical professional would probably skew more towards mental disorder because it's harmful to the body in the long term.
So choking on dick like once a month.
Probably has absolutely no effect whatsoever, any more so than going out and getting hammered once a month to the point where you're in the bathroom puking.
I wonder.
Go ahead.
I have a theory. What if during your prep for your rainbow play, you made your sub or your bottom or your receptacle, for that matter, chow down a whole bunch of antacid tablets? Because it's going to neutralize some of the stomach acids and hopefully reduce the amount of esophageal damage, and then you get that fun, chunky, creamy, frothy, stomach ejaculate when they eventually decide to purge.
But
Or
the
you
fun
decide for
question
them.
at that point is, unless they have a medical condition that allows them to vomit at will, which some people do have,
Fuck yeah.
um,
I'm jealous.
would the antacids prevent them from vomiting?
I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, that would be my concern
Depends.
with that particular course. I mean, otherwise it would be such a great idea, but on the other hand, if you can't exactly churn the stomach and get the stomach to want to kick something out because
Yeah.
it's got antacids in it.
Yeah, true enough.
I mean,
Depends
my
on if it's
personal experience is
gag-induced vomiting.
a bit limited, but I know our dog has a problem with throwing up if we are not careful with him.
Yeah.
So we feed him antacids with his food to prevent that.
Our cats yak a lot.
Well, yeah, but they're cats.
Your pet yaks a lot
Not really.
when your dick's in her mouth.
Yeah.
And
She has
we're
a
back
sensitive-
to personal protein spill, yeah.
She has a sensitive gag reflex. I can't help that.
Most people do. Huh. Well, is it time for a commercial?
I would say so. Time for a commercial break, folks. We will be back with more of this vomitous action in a moment.
Folks, this is your captain speaking. I'd like to thank you for flying with the Bad Habits Network. We hope you'll take advantage of our many amenities, such as shots from the balcony, Lord, Sir, and Daddy Radio, and the Lord's Asylum. Your stewardess will be coming by with cigars and charred oak, which we already have up here in the cabin, and we can assure you they're fantastic. Our flight time is debatable, and our destination is, of course, entertainment. The weather there is shiny, so settle in and feel free to let our stewardesses know if you need anything. They won't do anything for you, but they like to know when you need things. We realize you have a choice when it comes to travel options, and we'd like to thank you for choosing the Bad Habits Network. We hope you enjoy giving us the business as much as we enjoy taking you for a ride. This is the Lord from the Lord's Asylum. Now, usually I make jokes and I tell funny stories, but just this once I'm going to be serious and talk about something that really does matter to me. Operation Cigars for Warriors provides premium cigars and accessories for soldiers serving in combat zones and in long-term deployment in third world environments. Now, a cigar doesn't seem like much, but when you're decked out in full gear in over 100-degree weather, in the middle of a desert, living on MREs and sleeping on glorified sleeping bags, having an hour to relax and just enjoy a fine cigar can be everything. Even a small donation
can make a world of difference in the life and well-being of a soldier. Now, there are multiple donation options. You can either go to cigarsforwarriors.org and pledge your support there, or they do accept direct donations in the form of checks, money orders, supplies, and even cigars if they're carefully packaged and sent out. Those can be sent to Operation Cigars for Warriors, HQ, 1797 South Colonial Avenue, Homosassa, that's Homossassa, Florida, 34448. This is a wonderful way for us to honor, show respect, and thank these men and women who are willing to give their lives. They're giving everything for you. What are you doing for them? And now, the Bad Habits Network presents A Thoughtful Moment with the Lord. Did you know that great strides are now being made in artificial intelligence? But they're not being used to explore the galaxy, to explore the depths of the ocean, or to assist in medical procedures or first aid to war-torn countries, but rather so that when you're texting and driving, your car can prevent you from getting into accidents by deciding to stop itself, or taking the wheel away from you and driving itself. We are advancing technology to allow us to be more stupid. Shouldn't that bother more people than it does? This has been A Thoughtful Moment with the Lord, a service of the Bad Habits Network.
What ho there, Percy? Oh, good day, Reginald. Why, I haven't seen you in ages. Oh, I've been off on a boar hunt. Really? I can't imagine you going in for that sort of thing. Well, my wife heard it's this kind of thing that makes a man out of you, so she thought I should give it a try. Well, at least you tried. But it must have been hell on you. Well, my wife did confiscate all my alcohol before I left. So I was quite morose at first, but it turned out my guide was a gentleman of substance, and half our water skins didn't have water at all. You don't mean? You've guessed it, charred oak, which significantly improved my spirits. And I assure you, we didn't find a boar the entire time. But what a time we had. So then I feel I have to ask, when are you going out again? Oh, you'd like to go with, eh? You organize the hunt. I'll go get the cigars. Charred oak. You won't find a boar. Just smooth flavor.
And we're back. Hopefully none of you went and threw up on the commercial break, because we're...
Au contraire. I beg to differ. I hope all of you went and vomited all over the place during the commercial break.
Some of you may
Preferably
have,
on your partner.
Yeah, some of you may have paused this for a quick on a dick. Who knows?
We don't judge much.
So what about puking into the vagina?
Oh, is there a sex act after that? I know there's plenty after shitting in the vagina.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there is. I don't know of any particular definitions, but what about puking into a vagina?
I don't
mean,
know.
we don't want to be exclusionary.
I think if that has a name, if that doesn't have a name, rather, we should put a name to it.
Well, it can't be Cosby vagina, because then that's way too close to rape play.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying we should definitely plant our little flag on that and name it ourselves.
Yes.
So apparently this is sort of pseudo-similar to it, but there is an act called the vomit omelet, which is when you're eating a girl out and she has her period and the blood gets in your mouth and then you throw it back up into her vagina.
Okay, so menstrual cycle vomiting into a vagina is called a vomit omelet?
Yep, you got it.
So what if you're just going down on her and you vomit into her hole?
I don't know.
Would that be a vomit burrito?
I don't know, but there's apparently songs on YouTube called "Let Me Puke Into Your Vagina." Yeah, I don't know if there's a specific sex act. There's got to be a name for a specific sex act that involves puking into a vagina. I just, oddly enough, don't know what it is. You heard it. I said I don't know the name for a sex act.
Oh, Jesus.
Mark this date down.
It's the beginning of the apocalypse, folks. Daddy doesn't know what puking into a vagina is called.
And I still say, if it doesn't have a name,
We should
the
make
vomit burrito.
The vomit burrito.
Well,
And I feel you should eat food appropriate to that if you're planning on doing it.
Mexican?
Yeah, absolutely. Get some beef, some onions, some seasoning in there. I mean,
Tortilla?
No, I don't think you need the
Tortilla dental dam.
There
You'll
you
vomit
go.
right through it.
Have it later with some tortilla chips. Absolutely. You choose where the cheese comes from.
What's this white cream sauce in my burrito?
You don't want to know. But if you do want to know, we'll be putting up videos later.
Speaking of which, our network has decided to upgrade to a video blog. Just so all of our listeners are aware, it won't be happening until September, and we will not be on video.
Well, not without the proper payment.
Now, we do accept Bitcoin.
And if you do have an idea for something you'd actually like us to do on video, hey, just hit us up. We've got the website, email address, Facebook, Twitter, or Fat Life. Good old Fat Life. Shitler.
Yep.
Raven has talked about his personal experience with vomit. What's yours?
You say it turns you on, and I've been talking about chicks vomiting on my dick. You haven't brought up any fun stories.
Certainly. Do I have any specific fun stories? I don't know if I have any really good specific fun stories. For me, vomit, the substance itself, I don't really have much of an attraction to. It doesn't really bother me too much. I personally don't have much of a gag reflex. When it comes to other people, however, making someone vomit is more of a humiliation and dominant submission thing for me.
So what is your favorite way to make someone vomit? Do you prefer to sneak some Epicac into their coffee? Do you like to jam things down their throat and make them gag?
I don't like to take the direct approach usually. So sneaking Epicac into someone's food or forcibly feeding them stuff that specifically makes someone vomit.
Malort?
It's too direct for me. Malort. Yeah, there we go.
Let's go drinking. Let's have shots of Malort.
Yep. This round's on us. If everybody wants to go out to their local bar and order a round of Malort, enjoy. Nonetheless, for me, that's too direct. I don't like things to necessarily be too direct. So, forcibly sticking something in someone's throat and tickling their uvula until they puke, too simple, right? For me, I would much rather do a little bit of research ahead of time and find out if the person has any scent sensitivities or if they've got specific texture issues, things that gross them out. I like to introduce those into my play, mostly because I like to shock and awe people when I'm engaging in a scene, especially if it's if it's a humiliation scene or a heavy impact scene and I'm beating someone's ass and I want to sort of shift the directions of the play. Inducing vomit by introducing something that is a huge squick factor for someone, that gets me wet. Yeah, that's the kind of thing I like to do.
Now, do you discuss that beforehand or surprise them with it?
So usually I'll covertly work that into my negotiations. I will try not to overtly come out and say, "Hey, I'm going to make you puke. What are the 3 ways it'll possibly make you do that?" I'm going to obviously get consent in some way, shape, or form to engage in a vomit-inducing act. Obviously, if the person during our negotiations has specifically said, "I do not like vomit red," I'll obviously shy away from it. But if it's something that hasn't come up as an absolute hard limit, I'll try and gather a little bit more intel, gather a little more information, and find out what may be able to trigger some of those sort of reflexes from the person. And if I'm in the mood for it, and the scene is developing in a way that vomit is feasible, i.e. I'm not, engaging in a scene on a 4-inch thick shag carpeting.
I've never
at least not my shag carpeting.
4-inch thick shag carpeting. That sounds like grass.
You ever look at old 60s pornos? Anyways.
No, I would never watch porn.
No.
That's icky and wrong.
Yeah.
Says the Lord.
I wouldn't even know how to get onto Pornhub at www.pornhub.com. Nor do I have any idea how to search their categories. Of which, did you know they just recently added a Korean category? Very personal to me.
Mm-hmm.
You and your Twinkie.
But but still, getting back to you. Let's talk all about
this is all about me.
Let's talk about you.
I like talking about myself.
So during your negotiations, does the question, can I make you cry, vomit, or expel other liquids other than juices?
So usually it'll be more along the lines of, are we engaging in a scene that allows for humiliation acts or acts of humiliation? Is that a specific, yes, let's totally go for that, and that's in my wheelhouse, and I'm totally receptive to that. If they are open to that, I will usually ask, what are your specific hard limits? What areas do you want to avoid? And then assuming that they haven't come out and said, specifically, please do not make me puke, because that will be the total end of the scene, then I might whip it out as a sneak attack during the scene, possibly, depending on how things are feeling, depending on how things are going. For me, if I'm beating on someone or doing horrible things to them, and I'm not getting either a breakdown, crying, bawling, a big ball of tears reaction, maybe I'll switch it up and go the other direction and get them to puke.
Now,
Because that sometimes results in crying, and I love it when they cry.
Right. Don't we all love it when they cry?
Especially when the tears are, dripping down into a big puddle of vomit.
Now, when your intent is to go the vomit route, we already know that when I intend to make them vomit, I try to feed them something fairly pleasant that, when regurgitated, isn't terrible for them or me.
Yep.
Do you have a preference of what they've eaten recently, or is it just on a whim?
I don't really care so much, mostly because I'm not trying to get it on myself. And if it's going to get on them, I really don't give a fuck what the contents are. As part of my typical negotiations, I usually ask people, when was the last time you've eaten? Have you eaten within the past couple of hours? Just as a general safety thing, I generally try not to engage in rough scenes with someone who's potentially on really low blood sugar, because it's not safe.
Right, if they haven't eaten all day, then you don't want to kick their ass because they're going to drop.
Exactly. But
the best part about I've eaten today, I had a cookie.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually had someone say that shit to me
that's
once.
Wonderful.
Oh, no, I had lunch. Really, what'd you have? A cookie. No.
No, you're eating something now.
Yeah, go eat a bunch of ham sandwiches, and then in 30 minutes, come back and let's play.
Yeah.
Maybe. And now that I know you're loaded to bear, let's get playing. So, yeah, I mean, as my typical part of my questionnaire when I ask people while we're negotiating a scene, I always ask people when the last time they ate. And the best part about that is because it's a typical part of my negotiations, and because it's a fairly innocuous question. Most people don't immediately assume that you're asking them when the last time you ate was so that you can know whether or not they have contents in their stomach to vomit all over the place. So most people answer it fairly honestly and not realize, where I may potentially be planning. So usually I can get a good amount of information out of that and use that for my own whims.
Prior to 12 years ago when you got hitched, when you were dating, would you take your partners out to an all-you-can-eat buffet before you take them home? I mean, if you know they gorge themselves beforehand, they're loaded. That's like handing somebody a loaded gun and going, "Here, go ahead, pull the trigger."
Oh, totally. I mean, you could. I personally have never done that. I think it's a great idea. You could totally do something like that. And then, especially if you're in the DS or an MS relationship and you're going out and feeding them like that, and you can put some restrictions on what they're eating during their buffet trip.
No salad bar.
No salad bar. No roughage.
No, I don't.
I want it to be all meat and ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you could definitely use that as a restriction list, so you know exactly what consistency you're going to be getting out of them.
Fruit salad's okay though.
Fruit salad
could be really colorful.
Oh yeah, like the kind of fruit salad, the jello-y fruit salad that's either got jello in it or it's got the creamy.
Oh no,
the whipped fruit salad.
The all fruit salad where it's nothing
straight fruit.
Just straight fruit. You can have kiwis and bananas and well, yes, some fruit can be gay. It's fine. Yeah. I'm not biased on my sexuality of fruit, that's for certain. Nope. But you get the reds, the purples, the oranges. It's
I mean, if you're going for the color effect, like if you really love yourself a Cosby sweater.
A healthy Cosby sweater.
A healthy Cosby sweater, then a healthy Cosby sweater. A non-rapey Cosby sweater.
A vegan Cosby sweater, if you will.
Is that a Cosby sweater made up of vegans?
Wait, are Fruit Loops vegan?
Probably, but you'd have to ask them individually.
I know.
Which brings up another fun question. Have you ever used vomit as an anal lube?
No, but I wish I had.
Now, you
said
before
on my short list
that, the getting someone to vomit is something you kind of like to do as a surprise. Now, have you ever had any post-play issues because of that? Has someone come to you later and been like, I'm really pissed that you made me throw up?
No, I don't do it all that often. So, generally, I would not engage in puke play with someone that I didn't have a fairly close relationship with, to the point where I knew that sort of act was not going to cause them to freak out and have major issues with me.
So, warning to all friends of Daddy: if he takes you out for an all-you-can-eat buffet and wants to play afterwards,
you might want to look out.
You know what's coming.
Bring a bucket.
Ask questions about the tarp.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, you can definitely also engage in using puke play in much larger scene sequences, like feeding. Like if you're into specifically splashing or food play, or if you're into piggy play. Oh, So if you're really into piggy play and the act of treating someone like some sort of farm animal, typically a pig, it's great to make them feed out of like a trough, all sorts of random food and whatnot.
That looks like vomit to begin with.
And that looks like vomit to
There you
begin
go.
with, and then choke the pig out until the pig pukes all over the place. Yeah, or make the pig puke all over your boots, preferably not some of your nice boots, kind of your shitty boots, and then make them eat the vomit off of your nice boots. That can be kind of fun.
Now,
So have you actually done that?
I can neither confirm nor deny these allegations.
now does the doctor have any health risks to
Eating vomit?
eating vomit?
Yours or others?
Yeah, that's kind of...
Well, say you make someone vomit, and then
Yeah.
you make them eat their own vomit. Are there actual health risks to that?
Well, at that point, what you're looking at is, a 2-for-1 on stomach acid going through the esophagus.
Yep.
And then, actually, usually it's at that point more a matter of what the vomit has landed on and what it has picked up before it goes back in.
If the vomit is fuzzy when it's going back down the hole.
Make sure your bucket is clean.
If there's a shag carpet involved, if you're vomiting on boots, I mean, what have the boots been treated with?
Preferably poo.
What
Yeah,
what have the boots walked through?
Yeah, also another question. I mean,
Moscato.
it's more a matter of what the vomit collects in the short period of time it's out. Otherwise, like, big concerns would be like, if you vomited into a sterile container and then decided to save it for a few weeks, just to see. To have it mature, if you will.
Aged
Yeah,
vomit.
you might have some pretty serious health issues at that point. Don't be surprised to see that vomit again.
Twice vomited.
Oh,
Better than twice baked potatoes.
Twice baked potato.
Yeah, you basically got a third-hand sangria going on there. And,
Speaking of secondhand sangria,
yeah, that's a great
give
story.
us the definition of secondhand sangria.
So when you drink sangria and get so sick you vomit it up and enjoy the flavor the second time.
Woohoo!
I can't relate to that in any way, shape, or form. I don't know what
No.
you're talking about.
No, you never turned gray, then green, and then...
Nope, I don't know what you're talking about.
Now,
I'm sure the dog had a lot of fun with that.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you don't want to have to worry about cleaning up your vomit afterwards, of course, be careful what you eat, because little doggies, insides can be a little sensitive depending on what food products you're consuming. I definitely recommend getting a house pet.
I just love
As
that
all the
idea.
PETA people in the world listening to this show, throw their arms up and want to come at me with a pitchfork. But, yeah.
Again,
Dogs like vomit.
Again, with the PETA people, they should not be listening to our show after our disclaimer.
Not to mention their PETA, who gives a fuck? Now, any actual animal rights organization that would like to file a complaint with us would be happy to listen to you, but that's an actual animal rights organization.
And we're not suggesting actually feeding your animals vomit, but in the event that your dog likes to eat its own vomit and its own fecal matter, eating your vomit is probably not all that unhealthy.
Which I love that we have to be so careful with what we feed our dogs because their tummies are so sensitive. But at the same time, like vomit, shit, other people's shit, other animal shit, like whatever, it doesn't matter. Dog will eat that and be just fine.
The dog likes eating that. It's a delicacy to those motherfuckers.
It's like Larry the Cable Guy, like, oh, look, it's a dog water purifying machine. It purifies your dog's drinking water. Well, he just ate a cat turd. Do you have a cat turd purifying machine?
He just drank out of the toilet. Did you
Yeah.
purify that water?
Yeah, exactly. But we have to be careful with their delicate little constitutions. Because, they're so not hardened after eating vomit and shit and everything else.
Delicious. I'm getting hungry.
Now, I know you said that you don't have much of a gag reflex, but I presume sometime in your colorful life you have thrown up.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Has it turned you on?
No, because I don't really consider myself to have a puke fetish. Like, at least not the substance of puke. Puke in and of itself doesn't really do much for me, especially when it involves my own puke. Now, someone else puking all over themselves, I'm extremely amused by that. But
I can honestly say that there have been at least 3 times in my life where I have been mid-coitus and had to vomit.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And it didn't break my stride because I had a wastebasket nearby.
did you actually puke mid-fuck?
Oh, yeah. I wasn't going to stop.
Now, I have to ask, because I know your current significant others being of reasonable quality, leaning towards high quality, and I only say that because I know you have a pet of the pet, as it were, and I've never met her and I don't know her. But I know some of the other people you've been with, and it sort of leads to the question. Did you throw up due to an excessive amount of alcohol?
Yes.
Or because of who you were with?
Oh, ouch.
Because I know some of them were a little...
I can say the 3 times that it happened, it was due to the excessive consumption of alcohol, and I can also say that I was fucking those people due to the excessive consumption of alcohol. So...
Did you ever think about fucking those people after the fact, and it made you vomit?
No, because usually I had nothing in my stomach by the time I sobered up.
Have you ever considered fucking someone and then just throwing up on them while you're fucking them?
I did consider not grabbing the wastebasket one of those times, but I knew that I wasn't going to get to finish if that happened.
Well, I don't know. I think if you hold on tight enough.
It's like vomit rodeo sex.
Exactly.
Can I finish 8 seconds after vomiting? Let's see.
Depends on whether or not
I wouldn't put it past you to try.
Not with my current partners. That's not going to fly.
No. Your current partners are actually decent.
Right. Those other questionable ones.
Yeah, some of them were, questionable. It's kind of why I kind of wonder. I mean, was that the reason you brought up, bestiality and necrophilia as discussion topics in the first place? But
I do wish a couple of them were dead.
Yeah, I know. Well, and I know you've had a couple that were dead fucks.
Yeah, there was it.
And then a few of them, probably treaded that line of bestiality.
Yeah.
A
couple of them were dogs, a couple of them were dead fish. Yeah.
Some of them were probably pigs. Some of them might have been sheep, I'm not sure. And some of them might have just been subhuman.
Yeah, subhuman for sure. But sheep, I don't know. None of them were woolly.
I mean, a few of them were probably classifiably troglodytes. So.
Ouch.
I'm just going there because it's true, and it's just one of those interesting observations. It's like I kind of wonder if that's the reason why we ended up with a show about necrophilia, and a show about zoophilia, and some of them were pieces of shit. So it kind of makes me think that might explain scat play one too.
Yeah.
What the Lord's really trying to say is that this show is purely about psychoanalyzing you.
That's
and
terrible.
Your sex life.
And your sex life.
On the other hand, I mean, like, we're how many shows in now, and we still have material, so, hey, thanks.
Score!
So, no, I would suppose it's probably a lot more interesting than you're giving it credit.
Well, if that's how the show is going, what's going to be our topic for next week?
Well, let's see. The 2 topics we discussed separately were adult baby and medical play.
Well.
So, let's read into that for a minute.
I wasn't part of those discussions, so that's not my sex life we're delving into.
I don't know.
Adult
baby,
I
some
think
of
you
them.
have a deep-seated adult baby fetish deep down inside you.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Deep.
Deep
down inside of you.
Deep down inside.
Well, think about how childish some of them got.
Yeah.
Adult baby.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And some of them were let's just say, medically interesting. So, medical play.
Okay, all right.
How many hips have you dislocated for fun?
I have fucked some medical oddities as well as required some medical attention post-coitus. So, suppose medical play does kind of delve into my sex life.
Yeah.
Still haven't fucked an amputee, though. But I've simulated amputeeism before.
So if there are any ladies or men, any preference?
If they're cute,
it
doesn't matter.
Yeah, if there are any amputees out there in our listening audience who
that want to be on a bucket list,
that want to be on Sir Raven's bucket list, get a hold of us. You know how to contact us. We would love to hear from you, and we'd love even more if you could help us engage in simulated acts of amputee fetishism on the radio.
Or privately. I mean, he can just talk about it later, too.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
think about this. Basically what the show is, as we've recently discovered. On one level, it's actually just a review of Raven's sex life.
Now, technically, our network head has said that only simulated sex acts can occur on our show. Is forcing someone to vomit on our show actually a sex act? And
is your dick in their mouth?
Well, I was thinking more along the lines of you making them vomit, not me making them vomit.
Oh,
Because
totally.
his dick in their mouth.
If I was making them vomit, yes, it could not be a simulated sex act. I would have to be choking them with my dick. But if you were to make them vomit...
Oh, totally. Even better. I mean, if we've got more people in the listening audience that wants to, I don't know, get made to puke, I could definitely arrange for that. And we can do it on the air. And that would definitely not be simulated. It would not be a sex act. Would it be a sex act if they orgasmed post-projectile vomit?
Well,
As a direct result of it?
I don't think that would be an issue because you got to figure. We were talking the other day about the one guy who now has spontaneous orgasms.
Oh yeah.
Even though it does not require any sort of touch or penetration. Even it's just he
It just
naturally
happens.
has spontaneous orgasms.
I'm jealous.
Therefore, I mean, if he was to have a podcast and have spontaneous orgasms on it, could he necessarily be held accountable for it?
On our network,
No.
possibly. Although we did get the green light to find him and have him on the show.
But I mean, that's the thing is, if it's just a spontaneous orgasm and it's not caused by penetration,
We'll have to seek advice to find out whether or not we can. Nonetheless, pukers. That's
We
our
wanna
call
hear
out
from
for
you.
the audience. We want to hear from you guys.
even if you can only text at the time. You know?
Lord Sir Daddy Radio at gmail.com, or find us on Facebook at Lord Sir Daddy, or on Twitter at Lord Sir Daddy.
Or on FetLife in the Lord Sir and Daddy group.
Now that you know the 900 ways to get a hold of us.
Use them. And like I said, even if you're just too busy vomiting to actually, talk, you can always text or type.
We haven't asked you. Do you have any predilections for vomit or acts of vomiting? Or
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, I suppose this is one of the few ways in which I could be called normal. Like, I do not have emetophilia. I do not have emetophobia. I have thrown up before. It was more like, oh, thank God that nausea has passed, but that was about all my interest in the subject. I don't think I've ever been with someone who threw up during any sort of sex act or play that I've ever done. But then again, I usually play with really insane hardcore people that can take what I dish out or give up. One of the two.
Yeah.
So, that's why, like, in my case, I'm more like, look, I will go online and I will do research about this because that's what I can do as a way to sort of add to the show. But as far as the whole, like, well, this one time at band camp, I took a flute, shoved it down someone's throat, and watched them vomit so hard it came out the keys. I don't have cool stories
now I
like
have something
that.
to add to my wish list for this summer.
All right.
I don't have cool stories like that because it's just not my wheelhouse, as it were.
Again, if you're a vomiting flautist, we want to hear from you.
And Raven would really like you to play with his flute.
Yes.
Skin flute.
Skin flute. Is there any sort of... is vomit kosher?
No.
No?
Is there any way to have kosher vomit?
In theory, it could happen, but it would require a very precise diet over a long period of time. The contents would have to be contained in a very kosher manner. They would have to, for instance, you couldn't have a mix of meat and dairy in the vomit.
Sure.
Otherwise, you can't call that kosher.
Sure.
Yeah, see?
Could you store your kosher vomit in your bag of Jew gold?
No.
No.
The bag is not airtight. That way the gold has a chance to breathe.
Okay. The gold needs to breathe.
Jew
In your
I mean,
gold
otherwise, if you
scrotum
think
bag.
about it...
I thought I was the only one without an airtight scrotum. All right.
If you went swimming, the sack would just fill up with water, and then your gold is just floating around in there, and you get corrosion. It sucks. So, no. We make sure that sucker can breathe and drain properly. You can't just have Jew gold. It's a responsibility, too. You have to take care of your Jew gold.
Mm-hmm. And your Jew vomit.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So if anyone has a recipe for kosher vomit...
I'm not saying we'll be saying a blecha over it or anything. But on the other hand, though, if any Jews are listening to this, and if you go to temple regularly, and if you have a regularly upset stomach due to stress and ulcers, which no Jews ever get, if you've ever blown a load into a shofar, I want to find out about it, okay? I am personally curious if you've ever just vomited into the shofar when you were trying to blow it. I want to hear that story. It's kind of like the vomit flute story. Just please.
I don't even know what that is.
Please tell us.
That sounds funny.
The shofar is an actual horn that is blown.
Oh, yeah, it's your Jew horn.
Yeah, it's the Jew horn.
Yep, gotcha.
That's how you ask for oral sex as a Jew. Like, you want to blow my shofar? It's kosher.
God.
Oh, it makes me want to convert.
Well, do you already have the circumcision?
Yeah.
That's a darn good start.
It's a good tip.
I live in America. Of course I have a circumcision.
America! Fuck yeah. Coming again to save the motherfucking day, yeah. But no, if you've ever blown chunks in the shofar, or even just blown spew, like, I want to know. I want this story. Please share. Jew to Jew. I'll only tell everybody.
We will keep you
a
anonymous,
segment.
though.
Yeah, that's a segment we need to have.
Jew to Jew?
Jew to Jew.
We need another Jew.
Sometimes in the heat of the moment, it's okay to go Jew to Jew.
We will take time out of our Jewy days to explain Jewiness to you.
Yeah, I got nothing.
We're Jewtastic that way.
Somebody asked me the other day if I feel bad about all the Jew jokes I tell, and I tell them, fuck no, Jews told them to me.
Yeah. No, I'm only insulted if you give me a joke that's bad. Like, if it's not even a good joke, why did you bother? But if you've got a good joke, man, I will be laughing just as hard as everyone else. I mean,
You
like,
gotta have standards.
Yeah. How do you get a room full of Jews to agree? You tape a dollar bill to a bouncy ball. You know, give me the good jokes. I'm just saying.
I always like the one about the Jew-designed car. Not only can it turn on a dime, but it'll pick it up, too.
Yeah.
So you've been referring to vomit as a protein spill.
Yeah, personal protein spill.
Personal protein spill.
Yeah, that's what I refer to my semen as.
Right. So can we also refer to vomit as oral ejaculate?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic.
It is actually an oral ejaculation.
Mm-hmm. All right.
As a matter of fact, even in the medical description of, the experience of that people find so joyful and cathartic, it is spasm, ejaculation, and relief. It is that process that they get turned on by. So no, it's ejaculating.
I definitely like the spasm part.
What's that?
I definitely like the spasm part.
Well, yeah, but you like any kind of spasm.
Yeah.
You are a spasm.
I got a touch of the spasm.
Touch of the tism.
And you are relieved from ejaculate. What can I say?
I know. My mom didn't swallow me yet.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if Pet has any input on our puke talk.
Yeah, Pet, how do you feel about rainbow play?
Makes me want to puke.
Well, that's kind of what we're shooting for.
I don't like rainbow play.
Why not?
Because I don't like vomiting.
Why not?
Because it makes me cry and it burns my
Why
throat.
do you keep choking on Sir's dick?
Because he keeps jamming it in there.
Ooh, here's a good one for you. What's the difference between jam and jelly?
What?
I can't jelly my dick in your ass.
Yeah, that's true.
Or in this case, down your throat.
Mm-hmm. We have anything else on our hit list for tonight?
Well, I don't know. While we're on the whole vomit thing, I mean, is there some sort of vomit question? I mean, we've thrown out a few just for shits and giggles, but is there a vomit question with which we can poll the audience?
I have not come up with a poll the audience for vomit play this week. I was drawing a blank.
Sure, I've got a good one. It's a very simple question.
Fantastic.
Of our listeners that exist out there, which of you actively bring vomit play into your kink life? And if so, in what fashion? Very simple. Seeing as, vomit and puke play is kind of a... I don't want to say it's an edge play thing per se, but it's probably the number of people out there who are in the kink community who engage in puke play are probably a relatively small percent. Or we can prove that it's not. I'm curious of those people who actually engage in it. What do they do?
Well, I don't know. See, we got into this discussion, Schittler and I, recently about what exactly is edge play, and he actually brought up an interesting concept. All the time that I have been in the community, edge play is always referred to any sort of play that contained a high level of risk. If there was a high level of risk involved, then it was an edge play. However, he brought up the concept of play that is not necessarily overly risky, but that is so generally socially unacceptable that it would be on the edge of the community. So, I mean, on that particular subject, I mean, would this qualify really as edge play? Because it does have, as previously mentioned, certain risks involved. But at the same time, it also has that squick aspect for any number of people, probably the greater predominance of people that wouldn't want rainbow play at events around them.
Oh, sure.
Or to be involved with it. So, by either definition, wouldn't it be considered an edge play?
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay. As we've kind of noticed throughout the last few shows, I mean, we've kind of had a theme of either things that were just utterly horrible or edge play. I mean, we've pretty much been doing a series on edge play unintentionally.
Yeah, so at some point in one of our future broadcasts, we should talk about, I think, edge play and its acceptance in the grand scheme of things.
And what it really is. I mean, what would constitute as edge play.
Yep. More than likely, that'll be a multi-part episode, considering, in my mind, edge play can mean so many different things, because what's edgy to one person isn't edgy to the next.
Well, why don't we go ahead and table that for our next show, and at that point, I think our hour is pretty much up.
All right. Thank you for listening, folks. We will be back next week with either adult baby, medical, or just general edge play. This has been Lord Sir Daddy Radio.
I'm the Lord.
I'm Sir.
And I'm Daddy.
And until next time, don't choke on too many cocks, because we don't want you eroding your esophagus.
Or maybe we do.
Maybe. Who knows?
It could happen.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can be confusing. Like Swedish techno confusing.
Bark, bark, meow, meow. Dance with me, purple cow. Bark, bark, meow, meow. Ooh, you lovely cow.
Geico makes it easy. With 24/7 access, all you have to do is go to Geico.com and you could save money on car insurance. It just makes sense. Unlike,
Dance with me, purple cow. I like your moves.